Well, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm Greg Howes. This is Morning Pulse. Welcome. Good to have you on with me this morning as we begin this week of Morning Pulse. We always start on Tuesday for Morning Pulse. So I'm glad that you were able to take a few minutes and start the day with me. Yeah, let's get the day off to a good start. All of our cornerstone people, Bible reading. Yeah. Today, actually, we're starting the book of Colossians. So if you would read with us today, Colossians chapters 1 and 2. So stay up with that Bible reading. That's happening right now, today, and every day. Reading our Bibles. Yeah. A few things that are happening. This Thursday is training day for leaders. Brandon Bailey, all the way from South Africa. He's been in Florida ministering over the weekend. Tomorrow he'll be coming into Chicago, and we'll be ready for him on Thursday. Training day for leaders, 2 morning sessions, 1 evening session. All of you are invited, whether you look at yourself as a leader or not. Actually, all of us are leading in some way or another. And this Thursday, you're going to learn something about that leadership. You're leading your own life, if nothing else, leading your family, leading your house. So we're all leaders in one way or another. So this Thursday is training day for leaders. Everybody is welcome to come. Please help us spread the word. Go on my page and get this graphic and share it. Share it on your page. Pass it around and help us get the word out. This is going to be a good day. 2 morning sessions, 1 evening session. There's no registration fee. You can just come, just show up and experience some good things in God. So we invite you to come and be a part of that this Thursday with Brandon Bailey. Then on Saturday is our prayer summit, Redigging the Wells of Prayer, this Saturday at 9 a.m. So we're encouraging you to come out for that as well. If you're in the geographical area, come and be a part of the prayer summit. Then 1 week from now, on November 10th and 11th, is the teacher's table with Michelle Akins, Anthony Earl, and myself. We'll be facilitating the dialogue, the conversation concerning the grace of the teacher and how the teacher operates and collaborates along with the other gifts from Ephesians 4:11. So we'll be digging into that Friday night, November 10th, Saturday morning, November the 11th. Training, education, equipping. We're excited about that coming up. And of course, everything that we're doing is going towards establishing this apostolic foundation. No cracks in the foundation. We want it to be sound, solid, and secure. We're establishing an apostolic foundation in our doctrine, in our teaching, in our fellowship, in our communion with one another. Everything we're doing, church planting, all of that, it's establishing the apostolic foundation. Yes, it is. All right. Excuse me. This morning, I want us to dig into something that we are actually touching on last week. And I believe it's important for where we are right now. And so I just want to lead us into this little journey in the Word of God this morning. Isaiah 43, verses 1 and 2 tells us, "But now thus says the Lord who created you, O Jacob, and he who formed you, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine." We don't have to be afraid because we belong to God. And he says, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. When you pass through the rivers, they shall not overflow you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, nor shall the flame scorch you." So perhaps these 3 illustrations are referring to Old Testament experiences of Israel When you pass through the waters would be the Red Sea experience. When you pass through the rivers would be Joshua leading the nation into the land of Canaan, crossing the Jordan River. And when you walk through the fire, and so the fire would be the three Hebrews that were in the fiery furnace. So we have these three examples: passing through water, passing through rivers, and walking through fire. Now, I want us to focus on that last part. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, nor shall the flame scorch you. The fire, the fire. So this becomes something that we must pay attention to. So we've been using this word forge, F-O-R-G-E, and it means to be shaped by heat. So we take metal and we put it in the heat. And once the metal is softened in the heat, then we hammer it into shape. Now, this was the action of the ancient blacksmiths. We've seen this in the movies from time to time. Shaping by heat, hammering into shape. It also means to make or produce something with difficulty. So it's a challenge. It's an assignment to produce something, and there may be some trouble, there may be some difficulty, but you have to forge through it. And to forge also has something to do with going ahead, forward, steady progression. We're going to forge ahead. That's the kind of language that we use. But in particular, this thing about being heated in the fire and hammered into shape. James chapter 1 talks about the trials that we go through, the testing of our faith, and these things are producing patience. And patience is leading us into a place of maturity. 1 Peter chapter 4, Peter describes the same process, this fiery trial that comes to try us, a fiery trial, something hot, something that's bringing pressure upon us. He said, don't think that this is some strange thing, but this is something that's happening to you to cause you to have the fellowship of the sufferings of Christ. And you're going through these things and you are coming to a place of maturity. And so I know that there are a number of you that feel as if you have been through the heat lately. You've been passing through the fire. You've been going through these difficult, trying situations. And so you must realize this is part of the process of our maturity. And it's not that God is always doing it. Sometimes it's the devil. The devil is trying our faith. Remember when Jesus spoke to Peter and he said, the devil wants to sift you like wheat. But he said, your faith is going to be tried, but you're going to come out of it and you're going to strengthen your brethren. So the enemy comes to test our faith, to try our faith. So when James 1, let me go back to that. James 1 talks about the trying of your faith, the testing of your faith. That could also be an action of the demonic realm coming against your life. In Proverbs 17 and verse 3, the scripture says that the refining pot is for silver and the furnace is for gold, but the Lord is testing the hearts. So we have this instrument that's called a crucible. In the picture you see before you, the crucible is that container. It's containing that liquid metal that's heated in the fire. That is the crucible. The crucible is defined as a very significant and difficult trial or test, a test that we pass through. We use this terminology. I've been in the crucible. I've been through the heat. I've been through the fire. But here's the deal with that. The hotter the fire, the stronger the metal. Did you hear that? The hotter the fire, the stronger the metal. So that's why James says, count it all joy. Count it all joy. Something good is happening in your life. Yeah. Now, I want to bring up Dwayne Brown. We'll bring him up on the screen. Good morning, Dwayne.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Now, I'm bringing Dwayne on today. Dwayne is one of the young leaders in our house. And those of you that were at Cornerstone Sunday, or maybe you were watching online, you heard Dwayne talking about this very subject of going through fire and forging and all of that. And he used a great illustration. I was so enlightened by what Dwayne shared with us on Sunday. Dwayne is in the fire department in Michigan City, Indiana. And Dwayne, you were sharing something about the training that firemen have to go through. Can you just explain that to us?
Yeah. So what I was explaining was this process or this training event that we go through called the flashover chamber. And what this flashover chamber is, it's these two shipping containers where we light a fire, where it's designed that we can recognize and observe the stages of fire. So as the fire begins to grow, the heat begins to rise, and what is designed to do is to show us that we can begin to learn the dangers or begin to understand how fire begins to grow. It tests us because how the heat begins to rise. But we observe how a rollover fire then begins to go into a flashover. And what rollover is when we begin to see fire begin to roll over our head. So as the fire rolls over our head, we see the fire, we see gases, and those gases begin to ignite. So what the flashover is, it's when everything within a room or a compartment begins to catch fire at one time. And it's important to begin to understand for us it's important to understand when the flashover is happening, because we begin to see and understand that the heat has reached a temperature of possibly over greater than 1,000 degrees. And for us, firefighters can only last in that environment for 3 seconds. But in this flashover chamber, it's a controlled environment. So say when the heat begins to rise to a certain temperature, someone opens or closes the door, stop to not allow the oxygen to feed the fire anymore. And I think that's very, very important. Even in our spirituality, or walking in our process through with God, and He increases the fire, we need to know that God is in control. So just like in our flashover chamber, whoever's training or leading the scenario, they're in control of how much the fire grows or how little it grows, the heat that's within that container. But it's important to know why we go through the flashover chamber. So before we even go through our academy, they put us through this flashover chamber first, because they want to test us to see if we can withstand the heat. Again, in this flashover chamber, in our training scenario, I would say it probably gets maybe to 600 to 800 degrees, but in real life scenario, it can get over 1,000 degrees. It's literally like we're sitting in a
Okay, Dwayne's freezing up a little bit there. I think he was saying it's like sitting in an oven.
Happening.
Yeah, you were freezing up there, Dwayne. Yeah. So repeat that again. You're sitting in an oven?
Okay. Yes. So yeah, it's like sitting in an oven. Really, you're just literally sitting there. I wouldn't say you're being burned, but the heat is literally burning. You can start feeling it through your gear. So it starts to make you jittery, and it starts to make your wheels start to churn. And you start questioning yourself, am I really built for this? Can I really do this every day if that's what it's called to? So you learn a lot about yourself. And a lot of transactions are taking place within your mind, and nobody knows those transactions but you and God. And I think that's what is really designed for, is, okay, I don't have to really put you on blast, but God doesn't have to put you on blast, but you know the thoughts and the processes that are going on in your mind. But also, it's not just so God can test you, but so whoever's, like for us, is whoever's training us is also assessing us. Can you take it? Are you the first person to walk out of this box? Because again, as soon as you walk out this box on the fire service, man, things spread just like literally just like fire. So fire grows or doubles in size every 30 seconds.
Mm.
Any rumor on the fire service, it is literally the same. So if you walk out of this flashover chamber, everybody on the job is going to know this person quit. You know, you don't want that. Um, so that's another aspect of it. Again, number one, you need to know what you're made of. Whoever's hosting this training needs to know what you're made of. But it's also, again, it's one of the first things you do when you get on the job. So it's kind of like your initiation. Okay, we seen you. You're authentic. You're the real deal. You know, welcome aboard. Another thing it does is it refines you. It refines the way you think. And it, for me, what it did was really begin to, I would say, discard all like fear or intimidation, hesitation. So when you actually show up to a fire scene, I already know I've been tested and tried already. So that's it's designed for that as well. You're in this shipping container that's you can see you literally see fire rolling over your head, but it's a contained fire. And then the last thing it does is it trains and it disciplines you. While you're going through this training evolution, whoever's hosting the training is actually giving you instruction. That again, that's in life, in our process with God. As He's increasing the fire, He gives us specific instructions on what we need to do to stay safe, to stay within the realms of our context. But He also teaches we're learning patience and perseverance. Push through the heat, push through the heat, push through the heat. And as the longer you sit in there, you're like, man, it's hot, but it ain't that bad. So I just think that's very, very important for us as we're going through our training. We're learning our own limits, and we're allowing whoever's in control to test us, to try us, to work that patience and perseverance on the inside of us. And when you come out of that, you feel you're hot. You know, you're literally hot, but you feel refreshed, you feel confident, you're bold, and you're like, man, I can do this job.
Wow.
So that's it's important. It's very important for our training. You know, we show up on scene, and now we're ready to go.
Yeah, that's tremendous. Now, listen, I've got this illustration that you shared. It's not the exact same thing, but it's something
Yeah,
like you
yeah,
shared on Sunday. So this
yep,
is what Dwayne is referring to. This is the chamber,
yep,
the flashover chamber. Yeah.
yep. So, and then if you look at the bottom picture, you see the drywall that they put up on the sides of the shipping containers, and we're kind of sitting right underneath that. So it allows the fire to get that close, you know. But again, we're not harmed. It's really a safe and controlled environment. And I think that's what we need to understand when God is processing us and He's raising up the heat. He's in control, and it's really a safe environment. It's just for training purposes, and so that He can work patience and perseverance on the inside of us.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
teaching you how the fire behaves,
Mhm.
but it's also testing your response, your
Yep.
attitude, your thinking process. It's putting
Yep.
you to the test at the same time.
Yeah. So,
So,
like when the fire really started to grow and the heat began to grow, I literally remember telling myself, "Man, this is hot. You need to get out of here. You need to get out. This is getting too hot. I don't know if you can stand it." And then something just kicked on the inside of me, and I was just like, I'm not going to be the first person to leave this thing. And I've also been through way tougher situations than this in just life in general. Um, so that just allowed me to kind of, again, shift my mentality, and tell myself, hey, I can do it.
yeah. That's tremendous. Well, thank you, Dwayne, for coming on and sharing that with us. I really believe that's valuable to people that are on with us and people that will be watching this later. So I appreciate it. Thank you. I know you're at
Yes,
work,
sir.
so I want to let you get back to your job. So God bless you. Have a great day today, okay?
Thank you. You too.
All right, Dwayne. Thank you. All right, that's Dwayne Brown. Excellent sharing with us about that flashover chamber. I hope you were getting those lessons that Dwayne was giving us. Excellent. So these are the things that are happening to us when we go through these trials, when we go through the fire, so to speak. We're going through the fire and the heat is up. One of the things that's happening is we're learning how the fire behaves. We're learning what the trial is like. We're learning what trouble is like. And after you've gone through these things over and over and over and over, you should be getting some idea of how these trials operate in your life. Yeah, of course. You're learning how the fire behaves, but you're also learning something about yourself. Yeah, how you respond, your mindset, your attitude, your responses to the fire. How do you respond to the heat that comes on your life? How do you respond to the trial that you're going through? That's so powerful. How do we respond? And do we want to run? Do we want to escape the fire? Like Dwayne said, I want to get out of this chamber. I want to get out. Let me out of here. Well, then you failed the test. Yeah. We've got to stay in it so that we come to that place of maturity in our lives. Wow. So those of you that are going through stuff right now, the fire, the heat, I want you to be encouraged today. Be encouraged. The last 2 Sundays, this past Sunday and the Sunday before, I went through such mental and emotional, I don't even know what to call it, gymnastics, I guess. I can't even put my finger on it. I don't know what caused it. I don't know. Nobody did anything to me. Nobody said anything to me. It was just this thing that came on me, my emotions, my mind, my thoughts, how I'm looking at things, how I'm evaluating things, just going through this. And I talked to a couple of friends of mine in ministry, and they shared the same type of experience. And they said the same thing. I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't know what it was. What is making me feel like this? So these are things that all of us go through. The testing of our faith. And as I said earlier, many times it is the devil that is trying our faith, testing our faith. So we must be aware of that. This time of year, I was talking to my daughter, Christine, about this. And she was sharing with me that in her counseling practice, that all of her clients, without exception, every single one of them, over the last week or two, have shared with her how their anxiety level's been on a high level, depression, concerns, stuff they've been feeling, stuff they've been going through. So Christine was sharing with me. She said, "Dad, there's something in the spiritual atmosphere right now." And of course, we know today is Halloween, October 31st. And there's a lot of spiritual activity going on around this particular day and this season at the end of October going into November. There is a lot of spiritual activity happening in the spirit realm. And so that is going to affect us. It will affect us. And many times also, we may be feeling what other people are going through. Like right now, we may be feeling the heat that our brothers and sisters are going through in Palestine or in Israel, Palestinian Christians, Israeli Christians, the trials that they're going through right now. Do you not think that that will affect us? That there's something that we have in common in the spirit, that even though they're thousands of miles away, going through that very difficult challenge that they're in right now in Gaza and in Israel, that what they're going through can also affect us? So this is the need for intercession, during this time. So there's so much involved with this. Maybe we'll get into this a little bit more tomorrow, but I want us to dig into this and discover how we can live as overcomers, how we can be victorious. And so I appreciate Dwayne Brown coming on and sharing with us about that flashover chamber. I think that's a great illustration. And we're learning things about ourselves. We're learning things about God and how he deals with our hearts. We're learning things about the enemy. We're not ignorant of his devices. And we're learning how the fire behaves. Wow. So powerful. So be encouraged today. I hope this is beneficial to you. And listen, I'm declaring over your life that everything you put your hands on today, whether you're in the fire or not, whatever you put your hands on will prosper and it will be successful. And everything you're going through right now, the tough stuff, the challenges, it's taking you into perfection, completion, maturity. So that is why you can count it all joy. Not joyful about what you're going through, but you're joyful about the results that it will produce. God bless you so much. Have a great day today. Be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. I'll talk to you soon.